Trucks.
Hello.
Hey, buddies.
We've got used packaging. We're taking it to Vegas from Truckee. I want to stop for just a second and show you this route because this is a little weird. We're gonna cross. Oh, can I not zoom out all the way?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, if you can. It's not. It doesn't look the same as it did on the other screen.
Maybe it's pathfinding us a different route. That's interesting.
That's fascinating. Yeah, earlier it said we were going to cross the border like in a wiggly way a bunch of different ways, but not anymore.
Well, that's an
that was a
element
waste
of the
of
game
time.
that we just stumbled across. Hey, everybody. So this is one of the last trucks that I'm going to be recording in the same room as Josh as part of his household because I'm moving along.
Until you visit and then we record one.
Of course.
Which is going to happen.
Yes.
But
Well, there's going to be a break anyway.
yeah.
And I probably won't be away from this side of the country for too long. Famous last words. But
Just to be clear, we'll still do trucks.
yeah, we're still gonna engineer the trucks. That's still gonna happen with about the same frequency as is currently happening.
No. Much less frequently. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for us to do trucks when we have ideas again. That'll be great. No more being sad about politics. No more talking about wrestling because we don't have anything else to talk about. It's going to be another golden age. It's going to be great.
Season 3 of Trucks will update once every several months.
A little more often than that.
We both have an idea to rub together.
Oh, come on. We used to have ideas all the time in season 1. Like every few weeks we would upload a trucks with a solid idea. And most of them sucked, but we're good at it now.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm looking forward to
the confluence of having ideas and being good at trucks is definitely something that we can look forward to.
It's going to be the best yet.
Yeah, so guys, that's going to be great.
But for now, here's something we improvised together.
Exactly, because we don't have any fucking ideas. Josh is sad about the latest internet drama. I'm kind of sad about being more concerned about the check engine light on my car being on than about the potential of nuclear war. But there you go. You know, that's humanity for you. And I thought that... But the reason that I brought that up in the first place was that I thought that what we would do to fill this... trucks of necessity, this obligatory trucks, is to reminisce about some of the good times that Josh and I have had living together over the years.
Yes.
I want to start by telling the story of how we got Josh moved in here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we've told the story on the trucks before, but I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it my own way, and then you can, after I'm done telling it, correct me.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll
see if that becomes necessary. Let's see.
All right, so Josh graduated from art school, and then he went to live in a summer sublet apartment that didn't have internet.
Yeah, that was a fun summer.
So instead of, like, basically everything that Josh does, he spent his summer smoking weed in Prospect Park and
what?
then...
Oh no, you're revealing too much. That's not okay.
I think
That's new. That's brand new.
Please wait until I'm done to dispute
Okay. Well, hold on. I didn't realize you were gonna fucking go for the throat.
What do you mean go for the throat? Revealing that you used is not news to anybody, and also that you are a sensitive boy with creative potential. You shouldn't hide that light under a bushel, man.
I don't know,
It's
man.
an adorable fact about
I'm
you.
not okay. I think I might have to bleep some things out.
I look forward to it. Anyway, so I won't mention what you may or may not have heard again, but after that magical summer in which Josh was mostly incredibly bored was up.
It was actually an okay summer. The way I remember it is mostly smoking weed and reading novels.
Yeah.
I read one of my favorite novels that summer, Wittgenstein's Mistress.
It's a pretty good way to spend your summer, I think.
Yeah.
I could not even begin to read Wittgenstein's Mistress. I found it, stultifying, but maybe the weed would be helpful. Regardless, so after his summer sublet was up, Josh needed to find a place to live, and so he cast around and found a hole up in a sort of far-flung neighborhood of Brooklyn, where he lived in a triangular room with one small skylight.
No. It was a square. It was a very small square with no windows whatsoever.
I beg your pardon.
And a door that wouldn't lock.
This is very Rashomon. Yes, or alternately the song "Yes, I Remember It Well." Regardless, he was in this terrible little apartment with no room with no windows and a shared kitchen, which was filled with dirty dishes on the day he
Just,
moved in and
like,
never stopped.
Filled is an understatement.
It was encrusted, I would say.
There were towers that would never, like, just the nobody claimed responsibility for those towers of plates. I'm pretty sure whoever did them must have moved out.
Yep.
And
just left that there.
Just flies.
So Nick and I helped him move all of his stuff into this little room, and then we left him there with some concerns, I admit. That was the first time Nick met you, I think, was helping...
Another falsehood, but good enough.
Was it not? It was among the first times that
The first time I met Nick, well, I had seen him act before meeting him properly.
Right.
But the first time I really met him, we went to Bar Reese.
Oh,
and
really?
Talked about like our collective girl issues and emotional problems.
Oh my god, okay, yeah. See, this is why it's a bad idea for me to tell stories about people as a general matter, but that's exactly why I laid this out the way that I did, so that we could come
Sorry
to...
for not waiting until the end to issue all the corrections.
Yeah, no, I that would have been better. I think it would have been better.
It would have been difficult.
You got to sit on these things. Regardless, we helped you move in, and then not a week later, like days later, the person who used to live in this very room...
I still have some of his things.
Yes, who I actually saw at Edmund's going away party, Eric, so I can confirm that he's still alive, and pretty much unchanged. And I told him that he might want to get his Brooklyn poster back, since there would no longer be anybody he knew living in the apartment. And he said, oh yes, he would absolutely do that. So you'll never see him again. He announced that he was moving out. He gave us about a week's notice. And so I said, you know what? I bet Josh would prefer to live in this apartment. And so we moved you into this apartment.
Yep.
And the rest is history.
Yep. All of it.
And here in this apartment, he will stay.
Yes, indeed. It's becoming the Josh and Monica apartment.
Yep.
Plus Nick, plus...
It's really the
Jesse.
Monica apartment. Her name's on all the paperwork.
Yeah, she's the boss.
Yep. And, Monica arrived somewhere thereafter, after my brother and his girlfriend moved out, and also...
Nick arrived.
Nick arrived somewhat thereafter. There was a brief interlude with... I don't think we should say his full name.
the same person from the earlier bleep.
Yeah, who... Yeah, exactly. You spent time in the park. An older man in a bit of a turning point in his life before he decided to go back to moving art around, which is pretty much what he had been doing previous to that.
We saw him once after he moved out.
Yeah.
At the gas station.
Same old
buying garbage.
At the garbage store. But yeah, so that's the story. Or a version of it. And definitely tells you how much of the truth I remember. Which means that Josh may have to shoulder the burden of reminiscing further here, because I clearly have a brain like a loaf of Swiss cheese.
I'm trying to think.
And can only remember, like, the barest outlines of incidents. Like that whole thing where with you and me and Nick at Bar Reese talking about our girl problems, no recollection of that whatsoever.
You don't remember it at all?
I remember being at Bar Reese with, this is fascinating for our viewers, I'm sure. I remember being at Bar Reese trying to convince to move into our house.
Oh.
I remember that one.
More bleeps. Yeah, that would have been an error.
Boy, would that have been a mistake. But yeah, we all had our problems. We were young. I mean, I wasn't. Y'all were. Y'all were very young.
We were pretty young.
Yep, having your...
You were younger.
I was definitely younger. I was having distresses that I would no longer have. I've found myself new and interesting distresses that are more befitting in that of my age.
Well, I guess in the interest of reminiscing, here's an early memory I have of living in this house.
Oh, tell me.
Back when it's not, it's neither a good nor a bad memory, but it's a memory that kind of set the tone. This was back when the theater company was still in full swing, working. You guys were workshopping what turned into Poor Sailor. But it was long before Poor Sailor. It was during the Moon and Marble days, I think. But I was like super asleep. Like somehow I was really wonked out. Maybe I had taken NyQuil or something like that. Sure. I was like long gone. I couldn't tell what was real and what was dream. and like I was lying in my bed, unable to move, unable to speak, and like
sleep paralysis.
Yeah, and what I kept
the devil sitting on your chest.
What I kept hearing from the other room quite loudly, and what it gradually dawned on me was really actually happening, was somebody kept like in a very over the top way pleasantly introducing themselves. And being asked when they got in town or something like that.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yes, it's forever forever locked in my brain, that particular way of saying Tuesday, which means when that appeared in the play, it was a bit like revisiting one of my own dreams.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, which is entirely appropriate to that play.
Indeed. The mustache mime you wouldn't have been able to see from where you were. But yeah, no, there's a lot of... The theater company did a lot of stuff in this house.
That was the first time I visited this house.
Back when the theater company was
being asked to attend a theater company function and provide feedback, which is not something I had expected to be asked at this event.
Yeah,
and so I was woefully unprepared.
I of course find it funny to drop people into things like this without preparing them in any way at all, which it's not maybe my most attractive trait, but occasionally it leads to good things. That was a good one. We had some door shenanigans, some bathroom-based sketch comedy in that one, in that it happened in the bathroom rather than it was scatological in content.
I think I missed that part.
Yeah,
I don't actually remember what happened.
I believe that we did a lot of different things simultaneously in different parts of the house, and people kind of drifted between them, if I'm not mistaken. I remember once our neighbors were always super cool with the various artistic shenanigans that happened in the house. Like, Eben and I playing, doing band practice at like 2 a.m. in my room, or, what have you. Because this whole neighborhood used to be a lot louder and 24/7 than it is now. And, like, people would make their own noises late into the night, which they don't really do anymore. This building has gotten quieter and quieter and quieter, as it's gotten wider and wider and wider. But like,
Monica sleeps early.
Yeah, everybody was always super cool about it, and like the downstairs neighbors. One time when we had 12 people in the living room doing kickstep at the same time, which is a exercise that involves a lot of jumping up and down. They just came. They said, we love that you guys are doing what you're doing up there.
Which neighbors were these? The ones who used to live down there?
Yeah,
who we used to hate for making so much noise.
Yeah, they I think they had a healthy sense of irony about it. It's like, we're not gonna get on your case about it. You are, however, making things fall off of our mantelpiece.
Oh my god!
So, would you not? And we didn't. But that feels like youth to me, right?
Yes.
Like the sort of cavalier disregard for all other people because you're so excited about what you're doing and what you're doing feels so important to you. That feels like youth. That feels like being in the prime of your bullshit.
Yes.
I'm getting memories from before you lived here now. Like when one of the first like big things that I did on the roof was I went up there to spray paint the stencil for the to Anime Essential, I think back in 2011.
Might as well bleep it there too.
Yes, I think we ought to. I still have the stencil up on my wall in my room.
Wow, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
That is a true fact.
Was she even into?
Yeah, I mean, she was into bleep because you couldn't be my friend and not have some. But, like, I think that one of the major things that was a relief to her when we broke up, that time that we broke up, was that she no longer had to listen to me talk about Homestuck.
Well, let's move on to another memory. Although it's interesting to hear these things about what happened in this house before I lived here. Like, this is one of those things where, like, my dad, so to speak, is about to die, so to speak, and this is my last chance to learn about my forebears.
The folktales, yeah. No, the collective memory of the household will be cut if I don't pass on that oral tradition.
Yes.
So it's important that I tell you about Scienton, who used to live in this room for one summer and was
I never knew.
we got his mail for a while, and his mail was always like incredibly highfalutin fashion magazines. He is one of the gayest men who I've ever met, and so like, and this apartment, while he lived here, would occasionally be overrun by incredibly high fashion, incredibly gay men of color, just sitting around being extremely intense.
That's a much better crowd than what we get.
I mean, we don't get a crowd anymore. It's like it was useful in this house to have a mix of introverts and extroverts, which we have essentially pared down to just us in our continuous inward looking.
Nick is sort of an extrovert, but he doesn't bring people around.
No,
much.
But Nick does all of his extroversion out there.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring any of it back.
This is where he comes when he wants to watch Law and Order for 12 hours.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the extent of it.
Which is good. I'm glad we can provide that kind of environment.
The poker nights, that was our big social event for a while.
It was good.
You know, and most of those people moved away, unfortunately, and we can't muster those crowds anymore.
I'm thinking of still emailing that list after you go and see if I can wrangle it.
Give it a shot, man.
I have a couple of names of people I should have added to that list came to mind.
That was also the time when I was kind of drinking too much, and so I associate the poker nights with like drinking like a fair amount of an evening, sort of as a general matter. That was the poker nights that we did were based on poker nights that I did with LSAT tutors that I knew when I worked at a Kaplan office in downtown Manhattan, who were the most. They're a bunch of high-functioning alcoholics, like some more than others, but, you know, like one particular guy seemed to get all of his calories through rum and coke, and was never impaired by alcohol at all, just, like, didn't sleep and didn't eat, but played poker, you know?
Yeah, that's the way to be.
It was very good at poker. Would take your money and taught people how to take the LSAT, like a very smart guy who was just existing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like he'd pared everything down to just persisting and had nothing else that he was interested in doing than drinking and talking shit, you know.
The guy from Tatami Galaxy, the big-chinned mentor.
Yeah, but less cool in real life, you know. You know, just like a little too old to have absolutely no connections to other people beyond drinking buddies. But yeah, no, I took the model of poker night that they had and brought it into our house. Except that we did time limits rather than actually having to bring the tournament to a close, which they did.
Oh, man.
No matter how late you had to stay up, because that was what their jobs were.
We are too remote for that.
Yeah. But yeah, so those were the big social occasions.
Yeah.
The theater company coming in, music stuff, and poker. And then that sort of gradually faded. Eben, when he lived here, Eben is a guy who like hangs out with people. And not me.
We hang out though.
We do.
We as a house have all kinds of family
We
adventures.
do. We do have all kinds of family adventures. We do road trips together. We went to Toronto.
But that is a story that has been told on Trucks.
Indeed.
But is there some aspect of it that got left out, I wonder?
I don't think so.
No, probably not.
You know, we've gone over most of the important things that happen here. We're going to Storm King.
Yes.
On Monday, I think.
A last hurrah.
Indeed. Gonna go up the river. That will be nice.
Good video games too. Samurai Gun has been a proud thing.
The
Mario Galaxy, the time
Mario
we all
Galaxy
played
times with Nick, where I got so angry all the time for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
Like not at the game either. Just like whenever we sat down, I would become such an asshole, and I still don't know why.
It was part of the fun though.
Yeah, like what shitty thing will Isaac say next? God, Mario just apparently really gets my goat somehow.
I'm sad that we haven't been able to sit down with Nick and play through 3D World now that I've got Sucrose's Wii U.
Oh my God, we should make an effort to at least do one sesh of that.
Yeah, we should.
Nick has essentially moved out at this point, although he maintains a residence here.
Yes, he is, Let's not reveal too much about Nick's business.
There's no need to put Nick on blast. There's no need to put anyone on blast, really.
Everybody's great.
You're going to
Everybody's
enjoy
doing
going
great.
through this one and editing.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. If I didn't bleep something, it was on purpose. It was a joke.
Yeah.
One of the times we said I didn't bleep it. It gives you all a clue.
Yeah, exactly. A fascinating window into the life. Oh man, let's see. Other major events that have happened in this house.
Monica moving in and transforming the space into
vastly improving the general aesthetic.
Ambiance.
That was lovely. Chloe was doing a pretty good job while she was here, but I think Monica took it to a new level. See, when Jake moved out, the one and only big rooftop party that we've had here.
I never met Jake.
I know. It's weird, man.
It's weird.
Jake and I were born on the same day, like on the same year, and have had similar arcs in life.
Huh.
But he is a very different person.
He has exactly the same name as a person I knew in high school.
Yeah, it's very. He's a doppelganger kind of a dude, you know, and he will remind you of people who you know. And I went to him playing music at recently at a art gallery down in essentially what's that neighborhood that's like right north of Chinatown, down by the Grand Street station? So it's basically Soho, just Lower East Side, like a really trendy gallery that sold like a few T-shirts and a few vinyl records, and you know and he's on like a tape label, and the tape label was doing a special where they were selling bath salts with the tapes, and
wow.
He played his exquisitely wrought
that's extremely cool
electronic. Yeah, no, it's all very cool electronic music, and I just stood in the back of the small room with him and his noise machine and gradually left my body. And I'm just like, oh my god, you know, sometimes you think about the road not traveled, but it's just so viscerally not my scene. You know, there was a time in my 20s when I flirted with being a cool person, and sometimes even it felt like I might be a cool person, but ultimately, no.
You're cool in your own way, Isaac.
I'm cool in my own way. I can't understand the point of a small boutique shop in a rapidly gentrifying neighborhood that sells a few T-shirts and a few vinyl records.
I mean, that kind of thing is increasingly uncool, so you were ahead of the curve.
Oh, there were plenty of skinny white people there with beards.
Yeah.
Talking their talk.
What is the cultural cachet of skinny white people with beards nowadays? It's in the toilet.
It depends on the company you keep. Like among the furries and communists that I call home, you know, they're persona non grata, but they do have a lot of fucking money, obviously, in order to be pursuing this.
The furries will inherit the earth, don't you worry.
Although, you know, to be fair to my chum, he is not rich. He just works a lot, and he works for much richer people tutoring their children.
Yeah.
Which is sort of what you have to do. Parasitism.
Yeah. I miss the roof.
I miss the roof too. Basically fucked that for us.
Wait, who did? Say it for real this time and I'll bleep it.
Basically fucked that for us.
Oh.
She was visiting and spent basically like an entire day up on the roof, and the super found her and was
I didn't know that.
weirded out by it, and shortly thereafter they put a lock on the door.
That is a shame.
Yeah. And you know, that's
although they had raised concerns about it in the past.
Yeah, like it's not his fault. It would have happened sooner or later, because like there were big signs on the door saying "Don't go out here. You'll get irradiated by the cell phone towers." And
they once grilled me into like talking about who smokes where.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure that it was a long time coming, but you know, the two events happened quite close to each other.
Yeah. It was a final straw kind of situation, I suppose.
Yep. But you know,
it was a good roof.
It was a good roof, but we'll always have the park, or you'll always have the park.
Yeah.
It has a better view than the roof.
When the nukes are on their way, I'm gonna just walk onto the roof, let the alarm go.
Yeah, fuck it.
Get the best view.
You know, when the blackouts come, when the riots come.
When the blackout comes, like no one will ever know.
Exactly. You just wander up there.
That's the ideal scenario, just a temporary blackout.
The ideal
scenario. That's
really,
what I want.
On a serious level, given who our landlords are, do you think that alarm is hooked up to anything?
It's a good question.
I'll bet it's not.
There is a camera, and I bet that's hooked up to something.
I bet that it's hooked up to something. But still, I bet you can get away with it.
You're probably right.
It's just a matter of what story you will have to tell.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem worth the risk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to damage my standing with the landlords.
Yeah, probably for the best. Yeah. There are things about this neighborhood that were one way that I miss. Like, it is incredibly strange that, like, a actually, like, good coffee shop just opened up literally around the corner from us.
Ugh.
It's like the death knell of something and the beginning of something else.
Yeah, it's...
Are you angry about it?
Don't raise my rent. Someone was telling... It was... In other words, it was Bleep. He was telling us about... how like there's a myth of these coffee shops that like the people who own them often believe that they are fighting against gentrification because they're an independent business,
right?
And like but in fact like the Burger King and the McDonald's
are fighting against gentrification by keeping the Gur King sign and the fucking stadium lights across the street are doing more to keep the rent down here than any amount of independent coffee shops.
Than any beautiful fucking coffee
Beautiful coffee shops with tasteful brunch and, delicious cold brew.
I don't think they're staying in business, though.
I mean,
that space is huge, and it's always empty.
It's not empty on weekend mornings.
You think that's enough?
A lot of people in there brunching. I kind of hope it isn't, because they should fail.
Better businesses than them have failed.
Yeah, but they're a good coffee shop.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And a spacious coffee shop in the city is an anomaly and probably doomed.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe they're independently wealthy.
Maybe.
It's obviously like the couple running it who, it's a labor of love for them, and they're always behind the counter giving you intense eye contact because they want you to be regular customers and have an emotional relationship with you. Which in fact weirds me out more than anything else.
Yeah, a great way to keep customers. Man, but there's another coffee shop just down the street where the only time Monica and I went in there, the only guy in there, like the guy behind the counter, we were the only customers and he was the only guy working.
Is this the one where he talked to you about jazz incessantly?
Nonstop. He talked so much about jazz.
I told Evan about this, and he was like, he's never talked to me about jazz. And I said, well, Josh looks more like a jazzy person, I guess. And you are a jazzy person.
I mean, I humored him a little bit. I was able to say a few things back to him about jazz, but...
Anyway, we're beginning to sound a bit like the that execrable Momus song that he put up where he was talking about how, like...
New York has become a theme park.
But yeah, well, specifically he was venting his spleen about how he missed the point so exquisitely. Like, it was like, when I lived in this neighborhood, it was affordable and it was cool and like it was diverse, and you called me Eurotrash.
Talking about the Lower East Side.
The Lower East Side. Like, and now it's completely unaffordable and rich kids and sterile. And I bet you missed the Eurotrash. And he was like, you did this. You specifically did this. And he worked in a reference to watching the Twin Towers fall and how his girlfriend at the time killed herself afterward. Yeah. Just like as an aside.
It's the most interesting part of the song.
Moment. I know. But anyway, at the risk of sounding like that, like, I'm aware that I did this, that I contributed to this.
Mm-hmm.
And that now I'm fleeing because I can... There something like physically, spiritually, financially, I can no longer sustain living here.
You're moving to Portland, though. Isn't it going to be... Aren't you going to be more sick about it? Aren't you going to...
I'm not moving to Portland permanently.
Yeah, okay.
I'm very, very clear about that.
That makes sense, then.
I'm moving to Portland because I'm going to live in my dad's basement for like a few months, and then I'm going to do the next thing.
Yo, I'm stuck behind a slow-moving truck.
That's exciting. Look at the...
Simulationist.
It's just so pretty out there. I'm going to be driving these roads soon.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Assuming my car doesn't die. But anyway.
Games critic Noah Caldwell-Gervais recently put out a video where he talks at length to dashcam footage of driving through deserts.
Sweet.
It was...
Is it his own dashcam footage?
Yeah. He's talking... It's not
Way
quite...
to steal my idea, dude.
It's not quite trucks because he's talking about the road trip and the sights and the various... Like,
I mean, I imagine I'll probably do a fair amount of that while I'm making similar recordings, which you'll probably see here on this channel soon.
Sounds awesome.
We're gonna do another test this weekend. Hopefully, I figured out a way to make the dash cam work the way that I wanted to.
Awesome. But yeah, it was like a moment of independent invention. Very the same kind of hypnotic character to the footage.
Indeed. Like
Sooner or later, someone really famous, someone who works for Polygon probably, is gonna start doing a podcast exactly like Trucks.
Oh my god. And they won't even credit us. The innovators. We who started it all.
I'm already angry about it, and it hasn't even happened.
I'm going to be doing these video logs from the road, assuming that my tech setup works and my car doesn't break down, and I'm going to be... I imagine it'll mostly be like, meditations on being depressed and heading toward the end of the world. Yeah, particularly when I get to the Grand Canyon and do my Dropout fanfiction. But yeah, hopefully it won't be completely bleak.
You think I'm going to run out of gas?
You know what? I remember that last time when you coasted all the way into town and then there was a slight hump and you had to stop. I stopped a little early. I think it was too early. That was grotesque. I think we should try to do that again, but this time not fuck it up at the end.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. There's a town coming up. It might have gas.
True enough. So, do you have any other memories that you'd like to share of our mutual time here?
I'm sure there are plenty, but embarrassingly, they are not quite coming to mind.
Hanging out at the diner, talking to you about
the good old diner.
And your inability to move on. Although you eventually did, obviously.
Not even I know. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, no, that was a big deal for a while.
That was, oh Jesus, that was the worst. I was so heartbroken. I had some significant heartbreak for a good long time. It was really bad.
Yeah. But you didn't even know what I was talking about, which goes to show that time heals all wounds.
I thought you were secretly saying something a little meaner than that.
No.
I thought you were referring back to the first bleep or something.
No.
I thought you were gonna see, Isaac. I gotta have more faith that my good friend Isaac has my back.
I do. The one joke, and then not the series of jokes. When it becomes clear that he doesn't want anybody to know about the time that he spent.
Do that. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that again so I can get it over the bleep. How would I even do that without the internet? There was a way in which I did that.
You don't need the internet to by yourself.
But there was a specific way in which I used to do that, which involved the internet. But you've arrived at something else. And I'm like...
a personal activity.
Oh, man. How long has this been your diagnosis?
It's not a diagnosis. It's a headcanon.
Oh man, it's a slightly romantic headcanon. That would be a good fanfiction. That would be a good Josh fanfiction that the world will never get to read.
Indeed.
I don't.
Maybe that's the one way that I'll try to keep you close to me after I've gone, is that I'll write my Josh headcanons down.
Oh, no.
You'll become the star of my new novel.
Someone wrote Trucks fanfiction, and I don't think I ever got linked to it, and I don't want to be.
Did somebody write Trucks fanfiction?
Someone at least talks about it as if they did. It's Drost bleep.
Oh, right. I definitely don't want to read that.
No offense.
The Drost is
no offense, bleep.
Is
you're a cool in your way.
Yeah. Bleep too.
Yeah.
Drost is God. There's gonna be a lot of bleeps for you to bleep in this Drost.
It's the joke. This is great. This is quality programming.
I think.
Now that this is established, we can just talk about whatever. It's great. We don't even have to record a podcast.
True. In some way, a very sort of prim individual. I don't think it would be terribly salacious.
Unlike Bleep.
Oh, God.
No. Current events boy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's not talk about Nick Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just running out of things to say. Of course, you don't have to say it. Now you've spoiled the joke.
I'm sorry.
I'm
you
gonna
bleep that.
Yes! This is becoming impossible to navigate. Anyway, I need something else to reminisce about.
Okay. Do you have any times when I was... when you gave me a helping hand, when you helped out a buddy, and I was in obvious distress?
There were some times. I don't want to really bring those up, though.
Yeah, that would be unpleasant.
I would have to bleep like an entire thing.
How about good times?
Good times. Good times? Good times.
Surely we had.
We invented trucks and despair mode and
We did.
Mumble Squad in this house.
And the Waters of March.
Yeah, the Waters of March. So many in-jokes lost to time.
Mm.
Monica and I have had so many stupid songs and shit that we sang at each other. So many stupid names we used to call each other. Most of which, all of which we can't remember. It's weird how it happens.
Yeah. We never named this house, which strikes me as odd.
Were we gonna name the house?
I mean, no. It's just like every house that I lived in before this, there was like a collective name for it.
I mean, it was Constadel Hoffer while it was Isaac and Evan.
Yeah, or Hoffer Brown.
Hoffer Brown. Yeah, that's a name I've heard before.
Yeah, but when it was us here, we never named it, which is odd.
The Hoffer Brown Trevitt. The Trevitt never quite merged with the Hoffer Brown.
No, it did not.
The chemistry wasn't there. Cool people, though. I like them. I wonder if I'll continue seeing them through Nick.
I hope so. I mean, Eben is about to leave, as you know.
Yeah.
And Chloe is about to leave
So I guess not.
to Princeton. So maybe like in a year, next summer, theoretically, we'll all be back here. So we should all see each other then. Next summer, we'll be back here, and I'll probably be asking to crash on your couch.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be miserable because there won't be AC.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
How many of the... Why am I asking you this on trucks? How many of the decorations are you taking? Because Monica and I are hatching a plan to replace them.
I can put as many into storage or not into storage as you like, essentially. I'm going to...
Take what you want. That's what I say.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that I'll get... all the posters will be relatively easy to store. I'll take them. And I think that I might leave you the giant...
That works.
to remember me by. Just because transporting that's going to be a son of a bitch.
I want to... That's our centerpiece right now, and we're very proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
What else, though? Come on. There's got to be a secret perfect
No,
memory.
it turns out that we've essentially just like been one of the the pluses and minuses of the major tenor of our friendship being extremely laid back is that there haven't been that much in the way of peaks and valleys.
Yeah. It's been fairly steady.
And some of the best moments have happened on trucks.
It's
like
true.
I remember our first poetry trucks very fondly.
That was a good one.
And staying up playing video games.
Yeah.
Do you remember playing through Dead Space 3?
Wow, I don't.
Pretty sure we did that. Or was it Dead Space 2?
Like, are you thinking about a co-op thing? Because that would be Dead
No,
Space 3.
I would have been watching you.
Dead Space 3? Yeah, I guess I might have showed you some Dead Space. We didn't play all the way through it, did we?
I think we did.
I don't think I've beaten that game.
Well, maybe we didn't play all the way through, but we played a big chunk of it.
Wow. That game is kind of crap.
It is. It was. It was the first game that like I came in here on the regular and watched you play it.
Wow, interesting. Wow. Oh man, remember? Here's one that's been locked away.
Right.
Remember working on the deep puzzles in Fez together?
Oh, that was wonderful.
Yeah,
It's like
consulting notebooks.
and scraps of paper lying around, cracking it together. We played the game at the same time because the game was playable on both of our computers. And, compared notes. It was good stuff.
That was really good stuff. We cracked some of those really hard puzzles too.
We did.
We got like 2 out of the 2 out of the 3 red heart puzzles that are humanly solvable.
Yeah, not the one that they had to like.
One of them was
rip
so
the codes
loosely
to get.
solvable too.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of just screwing around until we got that one. If I recall.
A moment of inspiration.
Yeah.
I think I remembered most of the clue. It's like the first half is the thing that it is, and the second half is the thing that made it.
Yeah.
And it was spoiler alert. Just a flash of brilliance, a flash of light.
That was something else.
The cube actually visited the room. And I think we inputted it wrong the first time.
And we're like, no, that has to be right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy to tell that you input it wrong in that fucking book. Good Lord, Fez, what a game.
Yeah. I hope that Phil Fish makes another game eventually.
Yeah. Good old Phil Fish. You're not as problematic as the other problematic internet bros the internet likes.
It's true. It's true. You're mostly an asshole instead of being like a sexual predator.
Bleep.
Oh well.
The thing is, people are going to think we're saying some really funny stuff under all these bleeps, but actually we're mostly just saying bleep. Because we're laughing every time one of us says bleep. It's as if we're bleeping something funny.
You're breaking kayfabe with 4 minutes left in the drive, man.
That's ideal. This is clearly the best ending.
Fair enough. I'm going to talk about wrestling on this Trucks. I'm sad that Kota Ibushi isn't going to be in the J1 Climax Finals with Kenny Omega. It was possible right up until the end, and I'm bummed that it's not.
I have a wrestling question. What has been the status of Enzo Amore ever since he got his shit kicked in by Cass?
Poor fucking Enzo. Well, maybe not poor fucking Enzo. So Enzo's had a lot of backstage heat. Mm-hmm. Like, he's run afoul of Roman Reigns, who's kind of the new backstage, big boss now that The Undertaker is kind of retired. And he got thrown off a tour bus for being obnoxious and talking loudly on his cell phone about how much money he was making.
Did that kayfabe happened, or that really happened?
Really happened.
Oh, wow.
This is all, Wrestling Observer scuttlebutt.
Enzo Amore is one of those guys where I'm sure I would hate him in real life, but I love him as a wrestler. But he's so adorable.
Enzo has been basically cutting promos that have been making less and less sense and then getting squashed. And he's tagging with the Big Show now. Sort of just had Cass replaced with an even larger man.
That's so weird.
It's bullshit. He's getting like massively de-pushed, and it's clear that Vince doesn't think that there's any value to him.
But he's a brand. He's so much better on the mic than almost everybody else.
It's true. I think it's just a little hard. And then Cass also has massive backstage heat for being a really vocal Trump supporter.
Oh my god. Is he any good at wrestling?
Big Cass?
Yeah. Like, has he worked as a solo act?
His solo career so far has basically consisted of demolishing Enzo.
That's it? They've kept wrestling?
Yeah, and
so Enzo's going to have to win eventually,
eventually.
in the same way that Chris had to get his little.
I don't think Enzo's getting his win back. I think Enzo's going straight to the bottom of the card, possibly to 205 Live.
Wow, that's harsh.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had better news for you, man, but it's not looking good for Enzo Amore right now.
So, in conclusion, the lasting impact that we have left on each other living together.
I've made Josh into a wrestling fan.
You've made me into a wrestling fan, and I've got you to spend a lot of time playing video games.
That's true. I think that I would not be nearly as much of a video game person as I am.
I hope everyone can see that we have mutually benefited from this friendship.
We've just made each other nerdier, essentially, and expanded the parameters of that nerdiness.
Yeah.
And it started off and then just sort of devolved into this.
That's ideal.
Yeah, probably.
Speaking of bleep, let's insert this long rod into that narrow crevasse.
This seems like a really tricky one.
It really does.
I don't know if I'm having a hard time seeing how this one's possible.
I could spend a long time on this. Let's do it.
All right. Best of luck. I finished Autobiography of Red. I'm not super certain what I think of it, but that's partially because I think it would benefit by being read in one large chunk, and I had to put it down for a couple of times.
It doesn't look like an easy book to read all in one go.
I think that it should be read all. It's not even that dense. I think it should be read in one or two bites, and because it's hypnotic and it's all about tone and rhythm.
Interesting.
And I think it ends very abruptly, and I kind of lost the reason why it might end very abruptly. I mean, it's based on a fragmentary work, of course, or however many levels of meta is meant to be based on a fragmentary work, and so it makes sense that it just stops. But I think it's quite good. But I definitely am more interested in reading some of her other translations and other work of that sort.
Toss that back at me and maybe I'll take a look.
I'll give it a shot. I've started reading the Dictionary of the Khazars. I'm finding it a little bit difficult to concentrate on, but it's small chunks that can be read in any order, so I'm sure that I'll get.
Let's really actually try to do trucks about the book. We did a books truck once, and it was pretty good.
The book or a book? Which book?
That book. Autobiography of Red.
Autobiography of Red. Yeah, absolutely. I'll flip it back to you. You can read it, and we can talk about it.
It seems like a better book than the last book we did a trucks on.
I would say it's probably a better book than the last book we did a trucks on. I think that it's I found myself less impressed by it at the end than I did at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But we can have that discussion.
Sure.
Uh,
Sounds good.
We'll
Oh my
determine.
god, I'm so close, but I'm not quite there.
We'll determine how we feel about it. There's a book here called Ugly Feelings.
Oh, I've never read that. That was something that was assigned to me in a class.
It's by somebody named Cian and a guy, and the cover features a person.
I think that was assigned to me in contemporary media theory, but it looks like a book about, how to deal with ugly feelings. So I don't know. It's a novel, isn't it?
No, it's a scholarly work.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
That shows how much I've ever looked at
It
that.
presents a series of studies in the aesthetics of negative emotions,
Huh. Okay. Sounds interesting.
examining their politically ambiguous work in a range of cultural artifacts. Produced in what T.W. Adorno calls the fully administered world of late modernity.
God, Adorno, dude, I have tried. I can't. Are you able to penetrate that stuff?
I've never read Adorno.
Horkheimer and Adorno. God, Jesus. One time I took a class, the worst, actually, the single worst class about like media theory and all that kind of shit I ever took. It was called Modernism and Postmodernism. And it was, the professor spent the entire time like talking to directly to the student who already knew the most about the material.
Wow.
and had the most vocabulary in the field. Oh my god, I'm in purgatory here.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, it was dealing with the postmodernist historians of Japan, Harry Haratunian most notably in my field, that convinced me not to become an academic. So I feel your pain on a certain level.
I love academic writing in a way.
I do too.
You really get the people who are really dealing with the stuff down in there.
The way that the unfortunate fact about postmodernism is that you can deal with any old stuff, and some people choose to deal with any old stuff rather than the stuff, and people appear to be unable to tell the difference between the two things, which is depressing. So
You see how I did that?
that was super inspiring. All right, a good nostalgic trucks.
With some other stuff.
Yeah, and with like very little actual nostalgia. The reminiscing was mostly us trying to remember things because our brains are fucked. And
We came up with that idea 5 minutes before we recorded, so...
yeah, not prepared or anything. But the screen says good work, and I believe the screen.
Yeah. Hey, you know another thing we should do on Trucks?
What should we do on trucks?
We should, all in a row, get all our guests back on for an episode each.
Wow, just sort of as an honor roll.
Yeah.
Get them all in the same episode.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
A big old shout fest. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Including
Yeah, that's good.
that seems entirely reasonable.
We can't even say his name without bleeping it, but let's get him back on. We'll just bleep everything he says.
Yeah, no, we can, that's the glory of radio. Nobody can tell us for certain that he's not in the room with us, not saying anything.
I can't believe that summer I spent...
And just doing a lot of research about Henry Darger.
Good night.
Bye.